Hi guys, I'm back with the second video I'm shooting today. This one is stuff I picked up at the local book and media store, Second and Charles. It's like half-price books. I stop in every, I don't know, 2-3 days, sometimes 4 or 5 days. Just try to stop in on a regular basis and check the dollar bins because it seems like they've been dumping a lot of interesting stuff in their dollar bins. Stuff that some of it kind of amazes me. They price it down to $1, and some of it's probably worth $1, but it's interesting stuff. So let me just get right into it. It's kind of a mixed bag here. Some rock, a lot of jazz, some more exotica type stuff, even a hip hop record. So an interesting mix. First of all, previous video I showed, I picked up a Monkees record. It was actually, I think, a Venezuelan pressing, and my first Monkees record, and saw some in the dollar bin, figured I'd pick them up just to kind of build a little Monkees collection and start to appreciate their music. So I found the Monkees. I don't know if this was, I guess, their original first record out on Cold Gems. Looks like they get the theme for the Monkees, so I'm guessing this is the first one, The Last Train to Clarksville. Kind of cool. I don't really have a whole lot of kind of classic rock, so this will be interesting. And Monkees Headquarters, another one in Cold Gems. So I take it Cold Gems was their main label, and the one I found on RCA was just because it was a foreign pressing. And apparently this was in Phil's collection. I'm looking forward to getting that sticker off of there. Yeah, a little beat up, but for $1 each, I'll give it a shot. And this one's kind of cool. It's not in perfect shape, but still in the original shrink. But it's falling apart, and I'm going to take it off shortly. This is on Apple Records. It's the Plastic Ono Band live piece in Toronto, 1969, I think. Yeah. Stereo pressing. It's not in perfect shape, but for $1, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I don't have any John Lennon. I don't have any Beatles on vinyl, actually. So that's kind of cool. Give it a shot for $1. And outer jacket's in decent shape because it's been in the shrink. And the guitarist here, Leslie West, Mountain. I don't know if this is the actual band Mountain. It looks like it is. Felix Pappalardi on bass and keyboard. ND Smart on drums. I don't know him. This one on Bell Records, or Windfall Records, distributed by Bell. Division of Columbia Pictures, whatever. This one is pretty nice shape. I like Leslie West. I like his guitar playing. I'm not real familiar with the band Mountain, but the record in this was just in really nice shape. Nice and shiny, not too many scuffs. So looking forward to listening to that. And next up is some hip hop. I like to pick up these Sugar Hill records. This one's pretty cool because it is a German pressing. It's the West Street Mob with Breakdance Electric Boogie. So this is on Telrec Records out of Germany, or manufactured by Telrec. Of course, it's got the Sugar Hill label. It's classic Sugar Hill label. Yeah. So I figured I'd give that a shot. Kind of neat seeing stuff like this on import label. And then getting into the jazz, I'll try to go through these pretty quick. On Cadet, Ramsey Lewis, The Groover. It looks like live stuff recorded from this same. Let's see, the selections in this album are recorded by the original Ramsey Lewis trio of the In Crowd, Wade in the Water, and Hang On Sloopy fame. In fact, the recordings were done during the same live performances that produced the Hang On Sloopy hit. So it's Ramsey Lewis, L.D. Young, and Red Holt. And you've probably seen the records for Holt Young Unlimited, or Young Holt Unlimited, I can't remember, but they were his backing band on bass and drums. Gary McFarland on Verve. This is Soft Samba Strings, the The voice and sympathetic vibrations of Gary McFarland. So he was a guy that played vibraphone, but he was also an arranger. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. I'm hoping this will be kind of him playing the vibes with some kind of lush background on this. Not really sure. We'll see. There's a nice picture, decent picture. Gary McFarland playing the vibes, I guess. John Clemmer. Involvement. The John Clemmer Quartets. Another one on Cadet. You've probably seen the name John Clemmer on some kind of 70s jazz. I think he got into more commercial stuff, but this looks like a pretty early one. Hoping it'll be interesting. I think maybe he did a couple for Impulse. I could be wrong. On the Mainstream label, I didn't have anything on the Mainstream label before this, so it's kind of cool to pick up. It's a record called Booty, and it features different groups, but it looks like the leaders are Blue Mitchell, Roy Haynes, Charles Kynard, and Charles Williams. A lot of good musicians on here, like Ron Carter, Charles McPherson, Harold Mayburn, Roland Prince, George Adams, tenor sax. A lot of good guys. It's a nice it's a Mainstream label. This one is a DJ copy. Nice white label DJ copy. Really nice shape. Kind of funky. Kind of funky, fusion-y type stuff. I think this is from the mid-70s, 1974. And on Prestige, this one's pretty rough, but I figure I'll pick it up. I like jazz organ. And this is one of Prestige's main guys on organ, Charles Erland, Black Talk. I've seen this in a record store before for like $10 and not in a whole lot better shape, so I didn't really want to pay that, but for $1 I'll give it a shot. This one from 1970 it looks like. And yeah, I really like this one. It's very funky, soulful, on the dark blue Prestige label. Kind of got the trident symbol there. The vinyl's pretty rough, but it's actually a very kind of energetic, kind of loud recording. It's not a real quiet like a lot of the West Coast type jazz I listen to, so you know, the scuffs and scratches here and there, they're not too bad, so not such a big deal. And some Brubeck. Got quite the Brubeck collection. I didn't have this one. Kind of an early Columbia record for him. Brubeck Time. And yeah. So it makes mention on the cover of Dave Goes to College, or Jazz Goes to College, and Dave Brubeck at Storyville. I've got both of those, a couple of early Columbia recordings. And this is a Columbia 6i. So happy to have that in the collection. Probably got about 10 or 11 Brubeck records now. Most of them not in great shape, but you know, just cool. I like stuff a lot of times more for its just to kind of sample and to learn the history of it. I'm not trying to collect the most pristine records and have the most impressive collection. I just want to hear stuff and read up on it. And it's more fun to do it on vinyl than with some downloads online. This one's cool. It's on Riverside, the Riverside Jazz Master Composer Series. I hadn't seen that before. I'm very familiar with the Riverside label though. This is the Compositions of Duke Ellington, Volume 2. So I guess it collects recordings off the Riverside label of people playing Duke Ellington's compositions. So you've got Thelonious Monk doing It Don't Mean a Thing, Nat Adderley playing Don't Get Around Much Anymore, Yusef Lateef, I'm Just a Lucky So-and-So, and on and on. Wes Montgomery doing Cottontail, although in the back they've got him down as West Montgomery, so I thought that was funny. Bobby Timmons, Prelude to a Kiss. Yeah, so you get the idea. Again, on the Riverside label. I love the look of that. The label on these are early deep groove. Yeah, it's more I don't have the money to go out and buy the very best records. There's certain things I'll pay a lot of money for, like some John Zorn stuff on vinyl, or some Bill Laswell stuff, or some kind of electronic type things. But for jazz, for the most part, maybe some Ornette Coleman stuff, Don Cherry, some of those guys I'll pay big money for, Alice Coltrane. But for the most part, I just like getting the dollar jazz records and giving them a shot. This one's actually in really, really nice shape, nice slick laminated gatefold. It's Shelly Man and his men at Shelly's. I can't not giggle when I read this. Shelly Man and his men at Shelly's Manhole. This is called Boss Sounds, and this one's actually on Atlantic. Most of this stuff, it seemed like, was on Contemporary, but this one's on Atlantic. That bright yellow inside of the gatefold there. So in his band, you've got Frank Strozier on alto sax, Conte Candole on trumpet, Russ Freeman on piano, Monty Budwig on bass. And this one's a nice early stereo on Atlantic. Got that cool label there. I'm definitely happy to pick this up for $1. I think I've got 4 or 5 Shelly Man records now. Big figure on the West Coast jazz scene. As much for kind of bringing together interesting groups of musicians as for his own playing as a drummer. And this one was cool. This one wasn't $1. This is the one that wasn't $1. I grabbed this in the jazz bin. Miles Davis, Porgy and Bess. Or is it Porgy and Bess? No, Porgy and Bess. Orchestra under the direction of Gil Evans. Yeah, most people are familiar with Miles. This one is repress on, it's not the 6i, it's the 2i 360 sound label there. This one's not really in perfect shape, but I mean it's $4, so I'm not going to complain. They also had Miles Davis 4 and More, but that one was just pretty trashed, and they wanted like I think $4 for that too, and I wasn't going to pay that for a trashed record. So back to the dollar bin, some Pablo records. I think I've only got like 3 Pablo records so far, so I'm glad to add a couple more. This one is Roy Eldridge on trumpet. Roy Eldridge, What It's All About. Not too familiar with most of the rest of the players, except on side 2, Milt Jackson comes in playing vibes. The Modern Jazz Quartet, great vibes player. This one's a gold stamp promo for what that's worth. And then this was cool. This is a sampler record from the Pablo label. You can kind of see there. I've never seen this before. Norman Granz presents Pablo Jazz Sampler Volume 2. So you've got like Joe Turner and Sonny Stitt, Mary Lou Williams, Oscar Peterson, and the Trumpet Kings, Ray Bryant. And on the B side, looks like the same musicians, different tracks. So yeah, kind of cool. I'm not sure what year this is from or anything, but it just comes in a plain white generic sleeve. And then some Sinatra records. These aren't all, they're in decent shape, they're not in perfect shape, but kind of been getting into Frank Sinatra, so I picked these up. Where Are You? This one with Gordon Jenkins and his orchestra. Frank Sings for Only the Lonely. Orchestra by Nelson Riddle on this one. This is Sinatra. The music arranged and conducted by Nelson Riddle. And finally, No One Cares. Orchestra conducted by Gordon Jenkins. And like I said, these aren't in perfect shape, but they're in pretty good shape. Definitely listenable. I'll give them a shot. And some Benny Goodman. I've got about 5 or 6 records of his for some reason. I think I picked most of them up at the Friends of the Library sale. And they're actually pretty interesting. I thought they were kind of old, too old for me to enjoy, but the more I listen to them, the more I enjoy them. And so this is the King of Swing Volume 1 on Columbia, with its original orchestra, trio, and quartet. And yeah, so it's featuring some cool musicians: Harry James, Gene Krupa on drums, Lionel Hampton on vibes, Teddy Wilson. It's on the Columbia 6i label. In pretty nice shape. So I'll add that to the Benny Goodman collection. And going down the same theme, some older jazz, a Capitol compilation called Battle of the Big Bands. Kind of a neat label, or a neat cover art there. Some of the different big band leaders in the day. So you've got Woody Herman, Benny Goodman, Billy May, Bobby Sherwood, Maynard Ferguson, Charlie Barnett, Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington, Ray Anthony, and Stan Kenton. That's pretty cool. Nice record to kind of compare and contrast the different big bands. And then these, picked up 3 of these. I saw one, it was kind of interesting, but I didn't really want to pick it up. And then I saw there were 3 of them, so I grabbed them all. They're samplers from the A&M Horizon label. A&M Horizon. It was a label that's set up to kind of put out more kind of not mainstream jazz, a little more experimental type stuff, and existed for a few years. And then the main guy behind the label went and started Artist's House, which put out some really nice records. But kind of similar. They've all got kind of neat gatefold packaging. The record, when you open the gatefold, it slides in from the inside. So you have to open the gatefold to slide the record out, which is kind of inconvenient. But they've always got a lot of interesting stuff in the gatefold. Here's kind of an example. Different diagrams and kind of transcriptions of the music and things like that, of the solos. Autobiographical information of the artist. They're usually really nice pressings. They come in poly-lined inner sleeves. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I've got 3 or 4 records on the A&M Horizon label. A couple Dave Liebmans, who played sax for Miles Davis, and trying to think, Sonny Fortune, and I can't remember what the other one was, but they had like an Ornette Coleman, Don Cherry, the Revolutionary Ensemble, Paul Desmond, some of the different artists, Jim Hall, guitar player. Cool stuff. Yeah, so each one's got different tracks. Charlie Hayden, bass player for Ornette Coleman. Neat stuff. And then getting into more of the exotica type stuff, there was this sealed copy of the soundtrack to The Egyptian by Alfred Newman from the famous Newman soundtrack composer family. This one was, I guess, like a second pressing or something, second issue in simulated stereo. But like I said, this was sealed, so I got to actually pop it open, and yeah, of course that's got the original Decca inner sleeve, and beautiful pristine vinyl. So that's kind of cool. Interesting soundtrack. Kind of got an ominous theme to some of it. And nice. It's music from Daryl F. Zanuck's The Egyptian. Alfred Newman conducting the Hollywood Symphony Orchestra and Chorus. And Souter Finnegan and their orchestra. This one on United Artists Ultra Audio Wall-to-Wall Stereo. The Return of the Doodletown Fifers. This is kind of late period. Souter Finnegan. Check out the photo on the back. You can kind of tell what time period this is based on the turtleneck and all. But these guys, I guess they kind of had an orchestra that was kind of like a jazz orchestra, but going into classical, like third stream type stuff. So in the band, they've got some interesting musicians like Mundell Lowe on guitar, George Duvivier on bass. Trying to see if I can pick out any more. Eddie Bird on trombone. Some more big jazz names. Edwin Coster, Eddie Costa on percussion. Urban Green or Irby Green on trombone. Yeah. So it should be interesting. You know, these things always, these hi-fi type records, show-off records, they got the Ultra Audiograph. They're always kind of pimping out their fancy stereo systems. I've seen quite a few of these lately. I might start picking these up. The wall-to-wall stereo series off United Artists. And Living Stereo record, I didn't know anything about this, but it looked interesting. That was $1. The Ames Brothers Destination Moon with the Sid Raymond and his orchestra. Don't know anything about it, but you know, these Living Stereo records are always kind of interesting. And some guitar stuff. Chet Atkins, Progressive Pickin'. I hadn't seen this record before. I hadn't heard of this one. So it's kind of interesting, and it's stamped on the back, not for sale, promotion only. I've never seen a stamp quite like that. It just runs across the back. Excuse me. This one, kind of a later period RCA on Dynagroove. Dynagroove pressing. Yeah, so I've been collecting Chet Atkins and like most of his stuff. And another guy I collect, guitar player Al Kaiola. This one's kind of neat because it sounds for spies and private eyes. There we go. And United Artists, he was under contract with United Artists and put out a whole series of records on United Artists. So you've got tracks like the theme from The Man from U.N.C.L.E., the Fugitive theme, Secret Agent Man, the Third Man theme, Slaughter on 10th Avenue, Man of Mystery, Baker Street Mystery, Goldfinger, A Quiet Thing from the Red Menace. You know, kind of that film noir, spy, jazz music type stuff. And so that was it from the Dollar Bin, Second and Charles. And then a few I picked up yesterday I'll get into. Went to a Goodwill I haven't been to in a while, but haven't been to in a couple weeks, and just stopped in. And had a bunch of new records, and I picked out 3 because you can get 3 for $1. So kind of start out with the less interesting stuff. Picked up a nice classical on Philips, Dutch pressing, imported from Holland. There you can see it, imported from Europe. A little stamp. Nice pressings, really thin vinyl. I mean, you can almost bend the record in half, it feels like. But really, you have to clean these up, I've learned, on the vacuum cleaner, record cleaning machine. Because otherwise you get a lot of pops and crackles, and the stylus will actually jump grooves. But once you clean them up, they're just super clean and quiet. But for some reason it's just, I don't know if it's a pressing compound or something that's in there, but yeah, kind of interesting. Really thin. It's kind of nice if you had a bunch of these. They wouldn't take up much room. Got a nice slick cover to it, European style. Excuse me again. And then another Al Kaiola from United Artists. This one is Solid Gold Guitar. Guitar hits that sold 1 million. There you see Al Kaiola with his gold guitar. A lot of hype stuff on the back. But yeah, kind of playing some of the big hits from the day. He's a very versatile guitarist. He kind of grew up in the jazz scene. Served in World War II, came back. Got a job like some of the other guys, working for like one of the big, like NBC or CBS or one of them, doing like radio music or TV music, things like that. But as rock and roll came along, he played on a lot of early rock and roll hits, doing the guitar parts for those. Very versatile guitarist. And then the one that the record actually inspired me to pick up the 3. The one that really excited me was a Verve. Ella Fitzgerald sings the Rodgers and Hart songbook. So these are kind of show tunes here. She's singing. This is volume 2. I've actually got the double record set that has volume 1 and volume 2 with a totally different cover. Just kind of a picture of her on the cover. I think this is maybe the same picture. But this came out a couple years later in stereo. I guess the recordings were done in stereo. But so this is pretty cool. Glad to have these in stereo. It's in really, the record's in really nice shape. The cover's a little rough. It's got some seam splits, obviously. But that's nice to have. And then yesterday, just for fun, I ran to an antique mall and poked around. Hadn't been there in about 6 months or 8 months. and found a few records I was interested in, but only picked up one. Just didn't want to spend a lot of money. But for $4, picked up the original soundtrack to Satan in High Heels by Mundell Lowe. Mundell Lowe is a guitar player, but he's also a conductor and composer, kind of like Al Caiola, very versatile musician. You know, from early on was reading and writing music, composing. So this is kind of like a low budget film. I guess there were some European films, French films that were kind of along the same lines coming in, and the director wanted to make something like that. So you've got a little bit of cheesecake on the back. But very jazzy soundtrack here. There's Mundell Lowe. And some of the players are, you know, the cream of the crop of the jazz scene on the West Coast. Clark Terry on trumpet, Joe Newman on trumpet, Irby Green on trombone, Al Cohn on saxophone, Eddie Costa on piano and vibes, Ed Shaughnessy on drums, George Duvivier on bass, Barry Galbraith, another guitarist. Let me try to see who else. Phil Woods on alto sax, Oliver Nelson on tenor sax. Yeah, so a lot of great musicians on this one. This is on the Charlie Parker Records label. I'd never seen that before. I've heard of it, but I've never actually seen one of these. So that was another kind of cool thing. It's a little beat up. Got a couple scratches. They're kind of annoying, but cool to have just for historical sake. Still listenable, but a little bit annoying. But yeah, kind of a cool find. I like collecting these sort of film noir, spy, secret agent type jazz records from the 50s and early 60s. So definitely a nice one to add to the collection there. A little bit of cheesecake on the cover. So that's it. The dollar bin finds and a few from the thrift store and the antique mall. So that pretty much brings me up to date with what I found in the past couple weeks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.